Hello, I am Lorraine Brock with Get Organized, and we are here on our first episode of Tip Tuesday. And I'm really excited. I have Benita here. She is one of our organizers with Get Organized, and today we're going to be talking about a really unique topic, downsizing your parents, but from the perspective of the adult children.
Yes.
So before we get started, I want to sort of give you a little bit about Get Organized. We are a professional organizing company. We do everything from senior downsizing to organizing your home, packing, unpacking. And I really have enjoyed a new area of our company that we have implemented in the last couple of years. A new service is Christmas decorating, which really is fun.
Lots of fun.
Lots of fun. And people love having their home turned into a magical place and a stress-free area where they can come in and have it already decorated for their family for Christmas. But our topic today is all about downsizing your parents and some tips on that's going to help you work with your parents better and get the actual project better organized. So remember, it's all about tips. So let's talk about a little bit about our first tip. And Benita, you're going to share with us 2 tips.
Yes.
And I have one because I always have to get into it.
She's got to get in on
I got to get in on it. So I'm going to give you sort of some time to talk about what is your first tip.
My very first tip. So when we go into the home, you never want to start in an area that has a lot of emotional attachment or something like that. So the very first tip is start in an area to which they don't have a lot of emotion attached to that area. And on a recent downsize that I did, we started in the formal dining room, and I went to the buffet and I opened the top drawer and I found placemats. And so the very, very first thing we did in that home was placemats. Carrying along with that same one, we then that led into the big entertainment pieces and serving platters and things like that, which they didn't do so much anymore. So so start in an area to which they're not attached is the first thing. So yeah.
Just so you guys know, my father is about 84 years old, and I think I'm blessed with the fact that we don't have any. Like, he's like, whatever you guys want to take away or deal with. And I'm like, some of the things I do want, other things I don't want. And so he's okay either way. So whether we started with him, and it's all based on the individual, right? Because some of the individuals they're tied up in emotional, everything has an emotional memory to it.
Right. That's from 1865.
Oh, okay, sorry. We're definitely keeping this. She's already emotional. Watch out, your kids. I'm kidding. But yeah, so it's really, my father would be not the norm, be honest with you. He would not be the norm. So, but yeah, they have built these memories with things, and so you need to take it to a point first. I agree with you that things that are really not so important to pass down or to take with them, like their placemats or napkin rings.
Napkin rings is another good, a good topic. So another area you can also go into, generally speaking, is a guest bedroom or a guest bathroom even, because when the kids leave, those areas sometimes become, well, I'm just going to put it there, and I'm just going to put this here just for a little while, and then 20 years later, it's still there. So guest bedrooms and bathrooms are good places to start. And even when you enter their children's rooms, so going into the child's room, those aren't so bad, because you can say, box this up and Jane is going to make a decision on this. You know, they don't necessarily have to make the decisions on their children's room if they have not gone back in after the children left and repurposed that room or boxed up the child's items that were in there.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your tip number 2?
Tip number 2. Let's talk about the emotional side of this. As the children of the parents who are downsizing, muster immeasurable amounts of compassion. when a person is going, for most people, when they're going into the downsizing phase of their life, it's all about loss. And it can, and that's huge, and it's literally immeasurable. So on your end, you need to muster as much compassion as you possibly can, because they are absolutely emotionally attached to fill in the blank, the teacup, a chair, the formal dining room table, whatever it is, it's a real thing, and they're very attached to it. So muster lots and lots of compassion for what you're asking them to do. And then consider, oftentimes it'll come to, well, I'm going to store it. Let's gather up all this stuff and let's get a storage facility. Think long term on that. Factor in the cost, factor in the decay. If it's not a climate controlled storage facility, so many things can happen to that. If you pack in cardboard boxes, the breakdown of those boxes, they attract bugs and spiders and all that kind of stuff. And always remember, in a storage facility, here's your storage facility, but you don't know what the guy over here is storing or over here is storing. So they could be attracting things that would come into your storage facility. So think long and hard before you get a storage facility. And another tip that goes right along with this is, if they're just having a very difficult time parting with something, and I'm going to use teacups as an example. Grandma collected teacups for years and years and years. Well, if she just can't make a decision on them, put them in an area that where you might call the yellow zone, or she just couldn't make a decision on them. And then put an expiration date on the time that those items are allowed to sit there. So you may say, 2 weeks, go back and revisit the teacups and see if you can let more of them go, or see if you found family members who wanted them. I think so-and-so might want this. Well, did she follow through with that? Did she ask the family members, did they want them? So it's okay. Don't expect aging parents to make decisions like this on everything. Again, that mounds and mounds of compassion, and give them time to hold on a little bit longer, but put an expiration date on it, like say 2 weeks, they need to go back and revisit the teacups. So
I like that. The expiration date, I thought, was a really good tip that you had, because it doesn't leave it open-ended. It's like, we'll save this, but let's agree on 6 months or a year, because sometimes it's just the fact they can't part with it, not necessarily that it is that it's sentimental to anyone else in the family.
Right.
One of the things that I tell when I'm working with seniors or their adult children is always say, ask them if they're going to actually use it. Like, is it something they're physically going to use? Even if it's like a platter from Thanksgiving that they've inherited from their mother, and they are only going to use it once a year. I'm fine with that. You're going to use it. Then I always say, if you're not going to use it, are you going to display it? Can you take that platter now and actually put it on the wall? Sure. Can you use it to hold rings and watches or earrings, maybe on top of a dresser? So ask that. If they're not going to use it and they're not going to display it, is it something that their adult children will want?
Right.
A platter, to me, I would take a platter because I would use it, right? Even, you put hors d'oeuvres or snacks on it. So those are some really key questions, them making that decision. But I love the expiration date.
Yeah,
it's a really good tip. Okay, so
tip number 3.
My turn. Okay. My tip is about helping your adult parents sort of work with you on decluttering without you having to be there. So not all aging seniors will be able or be comfortable with using text messages. So I'm going to start with that tip first, because there are some. And then I'll give you a tip, secondly, that has to do with those if they don't use a cell phone or text messaging. So when you're at your parents' house, and this often happens to me, they'll say, hey, come here, look at this, see if you want it. And to be honest with you, I love the history. My dad has an old original Monopoly game with the wooden pieces. It is awesome. He has the First Time Life magazine.
Oh,
the very first
issue.
First issue. It's like this big. And he has one of the first Quaker oil cans unopened. I don't know if the oil's good.
No.
I don't think so. But so sometimes in his mind, he has an idea of who he wants to give these to, and that's great. But other things are random. Like, for example, my father often sets things out for me and waits for me to come over and says, hey, do you want this? And this is just through his everyday household duties. He finds these things. And so what I suggest, if they do use a cell phone and they do text with it, is instead of them putting it aside for you and leaving it sprawled out on the table or wherever, to take a picture, have them take a picture of the items that they are wanting. And I would group these into groups, especially if they're cleaning out a cabinet or making decisions about multiple items. Instead of waiting for you to be there to move things along, have them take a picture of all the things that they are wanting to see if you want. And I think this is a really good way, because you could be sitting in your office or at lunch or in front of Netflix and get this text, and you'll tell them right away, oh, I want that, I want that. No, I don't want that. And it allows them to move forward quickly without having to sort of put it to the side to wait till they see you again. And then even if they see you, there may not be time right at that moment to go through that. Maybe you're going out to lunch or going to go shopping.
So segueing into that, what you would do then is take it. If they have taken the time to go through some items, a cabinet, a chest, it doesn't matter, take it. And then on your own, you can deal with it, as you will. But again, if they have gone through the painful process for some people of, going through the teacups, let's do the teacups again. And if they are there to hand you a box of teacups, take the teacups, bring them home, and then you can deal with them, later and decide what you're going to do.
I was sort of snickering when you were saying that. So my mom and dad have these two freezers out in their, I guess it's a building that they have in the backyard. And this is not including the refrigerator freezer inside. So my dad is now by himself, but he has an upright freezer and a chest type freezer. And they've had these freezers since I was in the house, and I'm 48. So I'm telling you, I don't know what they store in there, but I recently found out. So every time I go in there, he goes, well, we need to clean out these freezers. We need to get this food out of here. Well, I go in there and there's chocolate that's at least it's been in there 15 years that my mother had bought when, there was clearance after Easter. And all chocolate she would buy and she would freeze it. Or there would be, other kind of frozen foods and meats. And I don't think a lot of seniors that are at the age that my parents are, they don't really think about freshness. They don't really think about what's safe to eat. And so instead of if I was to tell my father, and by the way, he doesn't do Facebook, so he can't see this, just so you know. If I was to tell my father, oh no, it's no good, just throw it away, we would never make any headway. Because to him, it's valuable food items. And even himself goes out there and picks through it sometimes, and I have no idea why he doesn't get sick. But so I say that because sometimes I just take it.
Absolutely.
And then I dispose of it later because it's not a point of contention that I want to make with him. I'm going to have to go through it at some point completely. But what I do is every time I go over there, I just take a little bit more stuff. And I don't ever lie to him. I'll just say, I take it. I'll just take it with me is what I say. And who knows, if you live in the country and you have dogs, maybe the dogs would appreciate it. I don't know. It's just a thought. So, but yeah, that's sort of what I do. Now, on the other end of it, if your parents don't use a phone as far as text messaging, what I would say with that is create a space, and you can use baskets, boxes, and label it for all the siblings in the family, or maybe for a charity or organization if your parents might want to give to a church group or their church garage sale. And leave those boxes in a particular area that every time that they find something, that it's either going to be a question box or a give box. Like, do you want this? Next time you come over, there's your box, go through it. Or it could just be a give box, like I'm giving all this to the church garage sale. I think that when seniors, and really with anybody, when you're going in through and decluttering, I think it's easier to let something go if you think somebody else is going to get the benefit
absolutely,
of it.
Absolutely. And to that point, we talk about thresholds a lot as organizers. And I have senior downsized a client once, and her child was also a client of mine. And she said, one box. You know, when you go to my mama's house, it can even be a big box, but one box threshold of items to put in there for, you know, said child. And that was a great idea, because then that way everything didn't go, oh, give it to her. We had one box per child. And that was a great idea. And so what went into that box had a lot more value and had a greater potential of being used by the child, as opposed to just mounds and mounds of, you know, everything. So,
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, also those are great tips. Okay, so the one thing that we're going to be doing unique on Tip Tuesday is actually showing you products every Tuesday. We're going to try to narrow it down to one, but today we're going to do 3 products. So let me sort of tell you what we're about to show you. The Tip Tuesday tools is what we're calling it here, and it's going to have an item or items in it that we're going to talk about. They may or may not be related to our topic at all. So what I've done, I've asked Benita to find 3 things that she would like to talk about. And so what's your first one? What's your first tip product?
Well, this is for anybody in your own homes to use. But when you organize, you need to label. Well, this is my original label maker.
And your labeler is labeled. Her labeler is labeled.
Come on,
only an organizer.
Everybody does that, right? But I have recently, I was reorganizing my own laundry room, because we have inherited our daughter's dog while she lives in Paris for a year. So here you go with a label maker. This is my original one, and I dropped him and broke him, and so I upgraded. But let's talk about upgrades. $17. Not expensive.
At Walmart, for sure. Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart, Target, Amazon, anywhere. Those are around.
Cartridges.
And that cartridge, this is a very inexpensive label tape. I choose to use the paper. There's plastic, there's colored, there's all, you know, it gets really fancy. And so when I upgraded, this is the fella I bought. But even my upgrade, and he's a nice one, was only $39. So not a lot of money. And just going to real quickly show you the new upgraded version of this and all that it came with. And another thing I do too, just this is a tip within a tip. So all of your label makers have font sizes. So what I did on the back of this one is I printed out each of the 5 font sizes. So for my personal use, but more so when I'm working for a client, I can go to them and I can say, Lorraine, which of these sizes do you like best?
Genius.
Yeah, so that way you can show the sizes of all the fonts.
I don't even do that.
Oh, and he's labeled. It came with yellow tape, so you know, label your label.
Label your label maker, especially if you have multiple in your home. I actually found out one year I gave my husband a label maker, because he loves labeling his digital stuff, cords, electronic cords. I mean,
labeling cords is huge. Yeah, that's a big one. Okay,
so awesome.
All right. So
tip number 2.
Or product number 2. Product number 2. Okay. Let's talk about Post-it notes. Now these will probably be backwards on your end of the screen, but anyway, are you aware that there are levels of stickiness among Post-it notes? And I happen to have an emotional attachment to Post-it notes.
You do. She does. She emails everybody in the company about
when there's new
Post-it notes.
So there's regular Post-it notes, which personally I don't own. If I did more office work, I would probably own more of the regular Post-it notes, but I don't. So this is the super sticky. You see there, it is labeled super sticky. Okay, and these are good for when we are organizing a home. The first thing we do is to sort everything. So I will make a label maker for belts, scarves, and I'll just put, and these work well for that. Then the grand queen finale, the best thing that's ever been made, Post-it note extreme. Okay, and when we do garages, attics, when we're labeling plastic bins until, I'm watching this, I do see that out of the corner of my eye. When we're labeling plastic bins, these Post-it extremes, they have a different texture about them. Feel that. And so they're grainy and textured, and the sticky on the back side is great. And when you read the reviews on them, because doesn't everybody read reviews? When you read the reviews on these, you will see, I stuck this on a canoe, and I went back 10 months later, and it was after rain and snow and, sleet and blah, blah, blah. It was still there. So anyway, the Post-it note extremes for labeling the work that you're doing.
They they're more transparent.
Yes.
They're thinner, lighter, so they're heavy. They're not as heavier weighted paper, but definitely sticky.
Yeah, but really sticky, really sticky. And I've been playing around with them around the house and seeing how long they'll stay on something like that. So yeah. Yeah.
That is awesome. That's awesome. And there's your box back.
Yeah, let's see if they're all in there.
Yeah, they're all in there.
Okay, and then number 3.
Oh yeah, number three.
Lorraine,
okay,
hold up. So you've heard the saying, you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl. So decorating. One of the services Get Organized offers is decorating services. And
it's a little heavy, but I got it. I'm a strong girl.
So a friend and I whipped this up yesterday. And by the way, speaking of friends, have a partner. When you're doing projects around your house, say, hey, I'll come and help you for 4 hours one day, and you come help me for 4 hours the next. But anyway, so I just bought a bunch of pumpkins, and I said, hey, you want to come help me, create an arrangement? And of course she did. And
she went to her neighbor's house to get
to get the Ely Agnes. Yes, this is called Ely Agnes. And anyway, but so yes, always have good neighbors who will let you clip off off of their plants and shrubs. So anyway, but bring something fresh into the house. It's not hard, and it adds another element to your decor that just can't be beat, in my opinion. I love fresh.
Yeah, when you one year, was it last year that you came and helped decorated my home for Christmas? Was it last year?
Yes, I did decorate during some. Yes.
One of the things that she did is she went out to the backyard of our house, and we had. We actually have them now. We actually we're planting more, but we actually had these Afghan pines. And Benita's like, I'm going to go out there and start cutting things, or rosemary or anything. And she just goes out here and just starts cutting everything and comes in, and she has some kind of display from our hedges.
Also magnolia trees. So if you have a neighbor with a magnolia tree, if you want to have some of their magnolia leaves, always cut off the back side or get up under the tree and cut underneath so that you don't damage the shape that they have going or whatever. But fresh is just right out here. Holly bushes, abundant in Texas. Holly sprigs and clippings last quite a long time. So pyracantha berries, you can go down county roads and find, go on a berry raid. But anyway, bring something fresh into the house.
Yeah, and cotton is real
popular right now.
You just don't want to go raid cotton fields, so
yeah. Always ask permission.
Always ask permission.
But
yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay. So another thing we're going to be doing on Tip Tuesday every week is giving away something. It could be a resource that maybe is online, or something that Get Organized has that we offer our clients when we're helping organize them. One thing that's really cool about Get Organized is that we have actually a document.
A large document.
It's called our client resource list. It's probably, if you printed it, it's probably about 50 pages back.
Oh,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Vetted services, that we have used or with the company, or even if personally an organizer has used.
Yes. So these resources we use for our clients because often we go in their home and not only do they need organizing or packing, unpacking, whatever it might be, they actually need other things. It's sort of like you get in there for one thing and you find multiple things they need help with. That's very common. And so this resource list is our vetted list of resources. And we also create resources, physical resources for our clients. And I'm going to give away one. So our resource, our product that we're giving away today is a website password document. I know it's backwards here, but it is something that should go along really well with your parents, especially if they're getting on up in years. If they use a computer and you're going to be in charge of helping manage their accounts or get access to them, obviously with their permission, we will send the first 10 people that make comments below that they want a copy of this. We will send you a copy and you can print out as many as you want. And what this is a document that they can go in, or you can help them. And you put the website here, you put the URL, the address of the website, their username, and their password.
Huge.
It's really a great thing. I mean, a lot of the people are digital these days, and I get that, but mostly the older generation is not. And we don't want to keep passwords and stuff up here or on sticky notes posted on our monitor.
Even as much as I like sticky notes, don't do
yeah,
that.
We don't. Those sticky notes, we do not want to put passwords on it. Go right there. That's my password. So
after this is completed, after your parents complete it, the next huge step is you, the child, or for our parents who are listening today, make sure a trusted friend or a child knows where you keep this. That's just as big as having it completed, is knowing where it is. Because if something happens, then the first thing they need to do is get onto the computer. So you have to know where this is kept.
And it is double-sided too. And there are also, when we send this, it will be a typable PDF. So if you want to keep a copy digital, that's fine, or they could handwrite it. I mean, there's all different ways that you can do this. But again, the first 10 people, even on the replay of this, that make a comment below that they want this, we will make sure that they get the actual digital file of this, and you guys can use it. So, wow, we've given a lot of tips, a lot of products. Yes. How do you like it so far? I mean,
I hope this was full of good meat for you to use and take back home. And, through the months of doing this, lots of topics will be covered. So tune back in. If you don't watch live, watch the replay, and you'll learn a lot for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So make sure everyone makes comments, not just the ones that want the password document. Make a comment. Let us know what you liked. What tip was your favorite tip? You may not be in this process now of working with your parents, but the wisdom that some of these tips can do for you in the future is going to be just immeasurable. Also, next week on Tip Tuesday, every Tuesday, we're not sure exactly the time we're going to air, so we'll normally narrow that down a few days before the day that we're going to air. But next Tuesday on Facebook Live, we are going to talk about color coding your clothes and some tips for the closet. And your guys are going to get a peek into my master closet that I share with my husband. And you're going to see our closet, and you're going, which I absolutely...
It's impressive.
I have to say so. I mean, I have areas that could use a little work, but my closet is not one of them. So I am very proud of my closet. Would love to share a few tips in there with you guys. So make sure that you are sharing this. Make sure you're commenting below. And I am very thankful that you joined us. So thanks for joining us on Tip Tuesday. And Benita, thank you for being here.
Happy
She's an awesome organizer, by the way. I mean,
I enjoy it.
And before we go, what is your favorite? If you had to pick a favorite area to organize? I know you organize every area.
I do organize everything. I do love closets. I love kitchens. I do a lot of garages.
That was your first big job, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Your
my
garage.
very first big job on my own was a garage for a fella who had varying interests. So we had to create zones for, saltwater fishing and freshwater fishing and this type hunting, that type hunting. So I do love a good closet.
Yeah. Well, goodbye, guys. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lorraine Brock with Get Organized, and this is Benita Swan with Get Organized. Thanks, guys.